Welcome back to the channel. Today we have another college football 25 video for you. We are going to be covering the 7 different conference realignments for you and your friends to try this upcoming year. Some will be historical, some will be fantasy, some may even predict the future. But whatever one you choose, I am sure they will be enjoyable to play. With that being said, check out our recent video on the hardest rebuilds in college football 25 if you want a bit of a challenge when the game releases. So let me know your thoughts on what realignment you think you will try, or give me one not listed here and I will tell you what I think of it. Appreciate you tuning in today and I hope you enjoy. One more thing before we get into it, I want to preface we are doing each conference standalone, but I try to design it, most of these, in a way where you can work in more than one realignment scheme into your dynasty. Our very first option is one that is going to be more obvious, so I wanted to get out of the way first. We are bringing back the pack, baby. And this realignment, we are headed back to a few years ago. Honestly, just even last year, we had things like the Circle of Suck, the Pac-12 After Dark, and the traditional Rose Bowl. Now that the so-called Conference of Champions is no more than a skeleton in the closet of the Big Ten, we will not see these glorious things. To bring this back, all you need to do is go back and take the teams that left that went to the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the ACC. You still have Oregon State and Washington State in the conference, so that will bring it whole once more. If you really want to give us some extra oomph to the conference, bringing in a few teams for the Mountain West Conference should do it, but that is by no means a requirement. Sticking around on the West Coast, we are expanding on the pack. Before conference realignment was a constant fear in the minds of fans and a dream to marketing partners, we almost had a super conference before it was cool. In the summer of 2010, there was some rumors that Texas and Oklahoma wanted to get out of the Big 12 and go to a bigger money-making conference. With the pack still at 10 teams, the pair sought to move, and with them, they were planning on bringing Texas A&M, Colorado, Oklahoma State, and Texas Tech. Unfortunately for them, the plans fell through, and a decade and a half later, the conference is all but dissolved. To accomplish this, we need to repeat the previous conference realignment, but go a step further and bring in Texas A&M, Texas, and Oklahoma from the SEC, which nets to 15 teams. Next, we want to switch Utah for Oklahoma State, and we will be done. If you don't want to see Utah leave the pack, you could skip this last step altogether, or you can bring in another team like BYU from the Big 12. Next up on our list is Americans Conference, former namesake, the Big East. The Big East has long been a basketball powerhouse with teams like UConn and Villanova. With UConn being an independent and needing a home, what better way than to make them one in the Big East? Since we can't change names or logos of conferences, we will have to settle with the American, but it'll be all right. To do this, we will need to shed a few teams from the current ranks. I would suggest sending all the former Conference USA teams back home since they need all the help they can get. But that only leaves us with 9 teams. So to get us to 12 or more teams, like a good power conference would have, we will need to steal Rutgers and Maryland from the Big Ten. Next, we're going to be raiding the ACC and taking Syracuse, Pitt, and Boston College. Once upon a time, there was a conference that housed all the big-name Texas programs. The Southwest was home to teams like SMU during their prime, Texas, Texas A&M, Houston, Baylor, Rice, TCU, and Texas Tech, among other schools, but we are going to focus on the Texas aspect of the Southwestern Conference history. To bring this back, we first need to remove all the fodder from the Big 12, so these teams will be shown here that need to go. Next, we need to bring all the aforementioned Texas teams back to the fold. We will also need to go grab UTSA, North Texas, Texas State, and UTEP from the American, Sun Belt, and Conference USA, respectively. This brings us to an unlucky 13. If you don't like unlucky numbers or just bad football schools, you can follow some of the alternate construction, such as bringing in the original members, OSU, OU, and Arkansas, or maybe leave out all the smaller schools in either iteration. After the introduction of the Southwest Conference just mentioned, some teams didn't stay very long. OU and OSU fled to the north and joined forces with other teams in the Middle America to form what is now known, or what was known, as the Big 8. Similar to the Southwest Conference, it is a precursor to the Big 12 and involved the teams Colorado, Iowa State, Nebraska, Kansas, and Kansas State, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State. To redo this, you will need to go remove the listed schools. Next, we need to bring in OU and Missouri from the SEC and Nebraska from the Big Ten, and you're done. With only 8 teams at the height of its conference may seem bland nowadays, so if you do not like that the limited team structure in the conference, I would suggest combining the 8 here with the original 8 from the Southwest Conference minus Arkansas to bring in a 16-team super conference with almost all of Texas and Middle America covered. This also severely limits the amount of domino effect other conferences will see. Before there were super conferences, there was the super conference, the WAC. The WAC was the first conference to align into a 16-team structure. Nestled in the Rockies, the conference had the teams listed here as they tried to work out a scheduling system. It failed, but luckily in the game, no one can vote to leave without your say-so, so let's break it down. First, you will need to start with the successor to the WAC, the Mid-Mountain West Conference. Remove the teams shown, then go grab TCU, Utah, BYU from the Big 12. Next, go to the ACC and grab SMU. Then go to the G5 ranks, take Tulsa and Rice from the American, and then finally UTEP from Conference USA. With that, you'll have brought back the first super conference. If you want to spice it up and you can leave in all the Mountain West Conference schools and bring in a wild card like UTSA or North Texas to give it more Texas territory, or maybe Colorado to pair with Colorado State. Just this week, we have heard some murmuring about the next big bombshell to hit the college football world. There is no secret FSU really dislikes, probably hates the ACC at this point, but as teams are gearing up for the current season, the people behind the curtains want out fast. In doing so, we have spurred other schools to consider the move, so why not experience it first? The move would be FSU, Clemson, Miami, Louisville, North Carolina, and Duke all jump ship for the up-and-coming Big 12. But there lies an issue with this. We are limited to 20 members per conference, so we needed 2 teams to leave. My first thought is to leave UNC and Duke behind. As much recent success as they've had in football, they're always going to be basketball schools, and their rivals in North Carolina State and Wake Forest should remain intact. Another option is, on the other side of the country, you can remove Arizona and Arizona State. These historic Pac-12 teams could return to make the Pac-2 the Pac-4 unless you change some things around. Or maybe even take the Utah schools to the Mountain West Conference to align them with Utah State. Whatever you do, I'm sure it'll be a great call. To wrap this up, whatever you choose, just be sure to play the game you want. It has been a long decade since the last game, and from what we can tell, this game looks amazing. I hope you all enjoyed our attempt at creating some interesting realignment options, so let me know in the comments what your favorite is, or if you have a different option, let me know. I appreciate all of you who tuned in. Don't forget to leave a like and smash that big red subscribe button for more college football content. Thanks again, and we will catch you in the next one.